Hi, this is Kay Denault. I am with Mental Health Association of South Mississippi, and I have with me today Bridget Turan, and Bridget is all things volunteer. So we've connected with her and are very excited that she's here today. We want to find out more about volunteer opportunities and how all this works. So Bridget, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Bridget Turan. I'm the Volunteer Hub Director for the Gulf Coast Hub for Volunteers and Nonprofits. It's a program of the Gulf Coast Community Foundation, and so we're officed in the Night Nonprofit Center. So it's a program of the foundation, and we partner with the government agency out of Jackson, Volunteer, Mississippi is where these hubs all started. And so there are 8 hubs in the state of Mississippi. So I'm just one of those hubs. And I handle the entire Gulf Coast, the lower 6 counties, Hancock, Harrison, Jackson, Pearl River, Stone, and George counties. And before this, I was a development manager for March of Dimes, and I did the fundraising and events here on the coast for them. We moved here from out of state, actually, because my husband retired from the Air Force. And I have an 11-year-old son that is home, and so I'm currently learning how to homeschool with all of the challenges.
Oh, wow.
The Gulf Coast Community Foundation. We just actually went back to work on Monday, but I am still working remotely because I have to help him with school and stuff. But the hub, the Gulf Coast Hub started January of 2019, so I've been working it since then. And that's kind of background on me. Do you want me to tell you kind of how the hub works?
Absolutely, yes. We need people to know about that.
Okay, so basically the hub is a website. We use a platform called Get Connected. It's a website, and the website is gulfcoasthub.org. And whether you're a nonprofit or a volunteer in the community, you both of them can utilize this website. If you're someone in the community that wants to volunteer, you just click on Volunteer Now, and you register an account. And what I really love about this service is you actually go in and you pick what areas interest you. If you like helping with children or animals or health and wellness, you actually go in and create your account, and it asks you what areas you like to work with. And so if someone doesn't care what they volunteer for, I suggest them marking all fields that interest them, or if someone specifically wants to help with animals, their account, when an organization posts an event or opportunity, that volunteer who signed up will get notified through the system. And so it's a really neat platform. And then if you're a nonprofit, you basically go to the same website, gulfcoasthub.org, and you register an account as an agency. It's in the center of the screen when you go to the website. Click here to register my agency. And so as long as a nonprofit is a 501c3, they can sign up on the Volunteer Hub. And so I basically connect the two. I connect nonprofits with volunteers and volunteers with nonprofits. So I'm kind of the connector, and we are located in the Night Nonprofit. So if volunteers come by, I basically send them to the Volunteer Hub website. If I get phone calls, I send them to that website. So I really encourage all nonprofits. I'm working with 140. That's how many are signed up on the website right now. They all don't utilize it. They all don't post opportunities. And of course, opportunities are kind of slower right now because of everything that's going on. So not tons of events have been canceled and postponed, and they're currently trying to reschedule them. So my job is just to find out what's happening in the community so that I can post on the website, my Facebook page, and when I'm back in my office, I have magazine racks and I post flyers of events and fundraisers and volunteer needs. I post those in my office. And so that's kind of how it works. And right now, the main need is feeding the Gulf Coast. They've had several events. They have a couple next week, but they're actually good on volunteers, both of the areas, Stone and Jackson County. and they have enough right now. But like yesterday, I got a call from a volunteer, and she's really flexible. She just moved here. She knows that volunteering is probably slower than it normally is, and so she told me basically she could help whenever I needed someone. So I'm kind of starting a list of flexible volunteers, people that are still willing to go out there, because there's not a whole lot with everything that's going on, and the limits that are kind of being put forth right now. Now, most of the nonprofits, they are trying to keep it to 10 or less, or if they need larger groups, they're sectioning off the volunteers in 10 or less, and they're providing the necessary things that the CDC has put out, the gloves, the hand sanitizer, the masks. So everyone is following the guidelines when they do need volunteers. But
Well, that's good to hear, because I think that's part of the reason that people are so afraid is they're not sure what they'll encounter once they get out there. Um, I actually was on a call earlier today, and there was someone who is connected with the Ecumenical Council here on the coast, and that's several church leaders that are part of that group. And he said that they're getting a lot of asks from their congregation, people that are looking for things to do. So as soon as we get done here, I'm going to email him your information, because it just occurred to me that you guys need to get together.
I know, and sometimes people don't realize, like I have to tell them a couple times what I do and how it works for people to, you know, realize how it works. I mean, anyone that's a nonprofit or a church, if they need volunteers, my job is to help them get volunteers. And so I do that by sending everyone to the hub. So if a nonprofit, like you've utilized it, you put your event, I think your last year's event out there, and I feel you might have gotten a couple. I always suggest nonprofits to always ask for more volunteers than they need, because of course some volunteers don't show up. But I know you've utilized it. And then just recently during this, when we first started this whole pandemic and COVID-19 and staying home, so I had a position posted on the hub that I needed a volunteer intern to help me with my newsletter and my social media. And so this young guy responded to my opportunity, and I actually found volunteer intern through my hub myself. And so he's been fantastic. He's been wonderful. He's been helping me with both the newsletter and social media, and I'm really grateful for him, and that I found him through the hub network. And he was signing up for several positions for United Way, because they have their event June 13th. And so I reached out to him, and he was willing to do whatever I needed. So that was actually great. And what nonprofits need to realize, that any position, I think I've told you, Kay, that like if you need, when everything's back to normal, of course, but if you need someone to file or answer the phone or just do stuff that you'd rather a volunteer do, that's what they can utilize this for. As long as it's not a paid position, it can be posted on the volunteer hub. So anything volunteer related, any fundraisers, any events they have going on, even if organizations or churches just need volunteers once a year, that can be posted on the hub. And so I do have 140 signed up, but my goal is to get every single nonprofit that's on the coast signed up. Once, you know, it's word of mouth. So that's mainly, I do have a Facebook page, but if as many people as possible who know about what the Volunteer Hub is, if they can just spread the word, and I do get a lot of referrals that way, just current nonprofits who pass my name around to others. So
Yeah. It's amazing. So you said 140 organizations, and of course that's not everybody. You don't realize there's that many organizations around trying to do good work.
Right. And I found, I think a couple of them I actually found from the news, watching the news on COVID-19. And I found one, and he's actually been my go-to. And I connected with him just by finding out about him on the news when all of this first started. And so he's been one of my main organizations that I reach out to if a volunteer calls me. He's delivering food to children, and then, or having a children pick up food, and then he's delivering to seniors as they need food. And so And then I learned about another one on the news. So I just, any nonprofit, because people ask me if I want to volunteer, how do I know they're a nonprofit? Well, basically, they wouldn't be registered on the Volunteer Hub if they were not a 501c3. I basically vet them, make sure that they've filled out all the paperwork on the Hub, and I look into and make sure that they are truly a nonprofit. The volunteer doesn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's good. And I don't know if people are aware, but the Mississippi Secretary of State website, you can go there and it shows every nonprofit, every charity that's registered in Mississippi, even if they're, I guess, headquartered out of state, but they're have, some sort of division here in the state. You can see their financials and everything. And another good site too is GuideStar. Is really good. A lot of people will go there to kind of check organizations out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good because
Yep.
you hear these stories about organizations getting money and not doing the right thing with it, and that's very heartbreaking for the ones that are trying so hard to use the money responsibly and be transparent because it's difficult to raise the money that you need and have volunteers. So when one organization messes it up for everybody else, that makes it
And that's
harder.
I also oversee training events that are put on by the Alliance, which is in Jackson. And currently May and I believe June are all going to be webinars through this. They might go longer depending on what's going to happen. But the Alliance, normally we would have trainings in person, but those are obviously put on hold right now. But they're webinars. And so currently the May schedule's out, and I put that on my Facebook page. And the Alliance has made it really affordable. It's $25. Wait, $25 if you do one training, 20 if you do two, and 15 if you do 3 or more trainings. And so they've really made it reasonable for everyone out there. So I really like to promote that too. And once things go back to normal, we'll be having in-person trainings, which those are normally held at the night nonprofit. So yeah, and then most of my nonprofits are kind of Harrison County. I do have some with other counties, but that's my goal, to kind of reach further than Harrison County, because that is kind of my prime location and that is where most are. But I want to get more in Jackson and George and Stone, and then the other counties. So pretty much anyone that has a nonprofit, I can help them or do my best.
Very good. Well, I know that you are because we get emails here where you might have a group from a company. We've gotten messages saying, hey, we've got, this many people that want to come out and do some things. What have you got? And I think that's great. I know people get so much out of volunteering. And I'll tell you, we have a very small staff, so we don't typically have, a lot of job opportunities here. But we have had volunteers that, we thought so highly of them when a position came around. They ended up getting the job. So that volunteering can definitely turn into something.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, a lot of my background is I've done a lot of volunteer work with Down Syndrome Society. I did a walk when I was overseas. And so I was a long-time volunteer before I even got into the nonprofit world myself. So
yeah,
it can definitely lead into jobs. The right position can. And then I think I told you once, like if you need your office painted, like anything that you would utilize a volunteer to help you with, gardening, painting, just anything that you would rather a volunteer do than your own staff or hiring someone, definitely put that on the volunteer hub so that you could get volunteers. And I do believe I have reached out to you a couple times when I think it was supposed to happen in May. It's probably going to be canceled, but a group was coming in for a conference. Well, I know it's going to be canceled because it was at the casino, and I basically coordinated that. So whether a company's local or coming in town, they get with me to kind of coordinate and find a nonprofit that they want to work with. So I think that's really neat when that group was coming in. I believe it was a real estate group, and they were coming in from out of state, and they wanted to do some volunteer work here on the coast. I thought that was really neat.
That is so amazing. Oh my goodness, my phone's going off. 1 second. Ah, gosh. You there? Okay. Sorry, people. So, Bridget, before we wrap up, I wonder if you can tell us, you mentioned that you have your son at home with you. I know a lot of people are talking about just trying to keep it together, you know, having to be the teacher and the principal and everything else. What kind are you guys like trying to stick to a routine or what's working for you?
We are. When this first happened, of course, my son's all excited and he thinks he's done for the year, but he's not. So I made like a little schedule. We made like a poster, and he does 3 to 4 programs that the school. At school he only did like 10 or 15 minutes, but we're making him do like 30 minutes in each of his 3 to 4 programs. We're making him read. We're making him go outside and do PE, and then we're making him do art. So we do have a set schedule. I mean, I'm not 100% strict, but I do try to stick to it just because I don't want him thinking that, the school's over, because it's not. And we actually picked up packets of paper, which I know a lot of schools have done this, and so he works on that paperwork as well. And then weekly they're having Zoom calls to kind of check in with all the students and see if they need help. You probably hear my dogs barking. I mean, it's just a whole different world because I have him, I have dogs. Now that this webinar thing is all new and great, like I did my first Get Connected training with a nonprofit earlier today, and it worked out really great to kind of walk her through the website. So I kind of like this. It alleviates the time of going to meet someone and train them that way. So it's kind of, I feel it's going to be beneficial for not only me, but several companies to maybe start doing webinars and phone conferences, because it, alleviates that drive that you have to go meet someone. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are going to incorporate what we're doing now into their regular schedule just because it is so convenient.
right.
Yeah.
Very.
Well, thank you, Bridget, so much. This is great information. And while you were talking, I was thinking, oh, I need to go on the site and update some things. So I'm going to be doing that
Yeah.
real soon. So thank you so much. And tell everybody one more time the name of the organization and the website that they should go to.
Okay, Gulf Coast Hub, and that's HUB, Gulf Coast Hub for volunteers and nonprofits. And the website is just gulfcoasthub.org.
Okay.
And then there's the Facebooks found under Gulf Coast Hub as well.
Very good. Bridget, thank you so
guys.
much for spending some time with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.